things are made from one, and in the end, all things return to one.
In other words, one is all.
Indeed, and all is one as well.
All is ultimately of the one. So if all is not included in the one, then all is nothing.
You have passed.
Peace. Now's the vibrate. Y'all know what it is. Not too far in the future, not too far in the past right now. Just want to speak on, give a little reminder. You know, sometimes we need reminders on subjects that we done spoke on already. But again, certain messages, you know, it's just like a bounce pad. Well, for those of y'all who familiar with sports, I ain't gonna make it just to basketball, but you know, with any type of team sport, you know, where passing the ball to a teammate is involved, you know, with passing the ball to your teammate, you know what I'm saying, it's about timing, you know, and delivering certain messages or bringing up certain reminders, you know, is like it's like a pass to your teammate, you know. If you don't have perfect timing when you're passing it to your teammate, you know, you may pass it and it gets intercepted by the defender, you know what I'm saying, for lack of a better word, you know what I'm saying. And as I say that, you know, always having to clean it up with the full circle perspectives, because, you know, when I say defender, is, you know, not necessarily that you're up against something in that nature, but then at the same time, you know, you are, you know what I'm saying. It's that parody, you know, but, you know, it's the ability to be flexible within the paradox, you know. And I just think about, you know, when certain things being said, you know, we're so used to, again, like looking for absolutes, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, you know, all right, he brought up work with crystals in a video. You know, so it's all about working with crystals. And then I may have brought up a video or brought up, you know, the subject like, hey, well, you know, you the walking crystal and you don't need crystals. And, you know, the way this realm, you know, has been, you know, it's like this energy of, well, what is it? Is it duck season or rabbit season, you know? Is it, should I work with crystals, or are you saying don't work with crystals? And it's like there's a little, you know, it's both, you know what I'm saying? And especially, again, like it's always going back to what's best for you, and you having to understand yourself and what works for you in certain moments, you know. This being brought up, when I thought about, you know, like referencing certain crystals, you know, and it's like, well, here it is, I reference working with crystals, or, you know, doing this type of energy work, and then at the same time, you know, it's like, well, again, you know, they're helpers, there's not something to depend on, but yet you wear a bunch of crystals, you know what I'm saying? But it's just understanding the flexibility, you know, being in this paradox, you know, because flexibility allows for you to, you know, move up and down the chakra wheels, you know, from the root to the crown, to the crown to the root, you know, not getting stuck in one chakra, you know, stuck in one realm of being. Understanding, you know, now that I'm becoming more grounded from so many of my psychedelic journeys, you know, because at one point, you know, I was almost trying to explain everything in such a, you know, like expansive way. And it's like, well, you know, hey, it's also the balance of, you know, being grounded and, you know, having a certain level of focusing on, you know, certain subject matter, you know, like not being too everywhere at the same time. Like, you know, again, like be focused, you know, be grounded. The ego serves a purpose. And at the same time, you are no thing, you know what I'm saying? Everything is interconnected, you know? And just, again, I won't go too deep in this because this all it is just that reminder of, you know, it's it's flexibility. It's not just one side. And when it comes to, what I may have not said, quote unquote, like this is, like the two opposing forces is funny because, you would think the two opposing forces is positive against negative, but really, the opposing forces is balance versus polarity, or harmony versus polarity. So, or should I say, harmony instead of extremes. It's like instead of being extremely on one side or extremely on the other. Because what's funny is, and it seems like a 2-on-1, because you could say like, all right, polarity speaks to polarity in essence, like, you got hot and cold, and even though, you say, for instance, you have some people in the realm where it's like, oh, we for hot, oh, and we for cold, it would seem like they're on different teams in essence, but on a deeper level, they really on the same squad because they both representing extremes, So although within this realm it has the perspective of them seeming like they're up against each other, really they representing the same thing on a deeper level, which is extremes or polarities, compared to, the being that's like, well, it's about balance. It's about, sometimes, the negative polarity is necessary. Sometimes the positive polarity is necessary, And, what could be stifling, is when you're trying to choose just one and sticking to that, And again, like God, never forget. It's funny because this one little message was simple early in my growth. And what's real is I didn't realize how strong of a message it was in that moment, But I think of, when I first started working with crystals, going into the crystal shop, one of the ladies working at the crystal shop, was like, it's not about trying to, be, just on one side. It's about the balance. You gotta have the balance and everything, And, it's one of those things, well, all right, that sounds, spiritually smart. And that's, it's like, oh, that sounds, but I didn't realize how, how real and true that, that really was until about, like recently on my growth. But, again, just understanding, that vibe, like balancing things out, the flexibility, not getting rigid, too stuck in the past, too stuck in the future, again, right now. But just wanted to bring forth that transmission, bring forth that message, again, understanding that, like with any and all of it, it's about having to stay flexible. Because again, the balance, that's where I was at, the balance versus polarities. That's what it is, not polarity versus polarity. Because that's the saying, polarity is in essence on the same squad. It's about being like the battery, maintaining the health of the positive and the negative side. So the battery, powers things through that balance, not because it's being polarizing. That's basically it. Stay flexible, you know, for sure though. And it's again, well, you always speak on being grounded. Then in another video, you talk about the soma chakra and the interstellar chakra, and it, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, it's again, and I made a video on that, but I'm pretty sure the name probably, the title of the video probably didn't express it. But you know, it's like, you know, we're dealing with any form of sharing, you know, true esoteric or occult information, you know, at some point it's gonna seem contradicting, you know. Again, how many times you done heard the phrase, hey, everything is interconnected, we're all whole, everything is one, and then probably right after that, and here's how you protect yourself. And it's like, well, fuck, I thought you just said everything is one. If everything one and whole, then why in the hell I'm trying to protect myself? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's just that kind of parody, you know? And again, where things could, you know, become misaligned is when, you know, trying to stick to one side of the polarity, you know? So just always, you know, remind yourself, keep that in mind. Understand that also, you know, you're not having like, just because things may seem tough or whatever, you know, it doesn't mean you're having a necessary bad day. You know, everything ain't gonna always be peachy all the time. How you doing? Everything ain't gonna always be peachy, all right? You know, sometimes you're gonna go through some things, because sometimes, you know, you can have that idea of like, oh shit, I didn't do this perfectly, or I didn't do that perfectly, you know, I'm doing bad, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, you know, you just going through the motions of things, because again, also, you know, like a wave, again, it's going above, you know, up and down, you know, and getting caught up in terminologies like, you know, ascension or transcendence, you know, where it makes it seem like either you're just trying to go up into the higher chakras, you know, and again, even from the religious perspective of like, you know, associating heaven with something up above, and where the only way to heaven is to, you know, be in, again, that one side of polarity, when it's really about, you know, the balance, you know. If you're in the physical realm, you know, in the physical body, it's for a reason. Otherwise, it wouldn't have no such reason for quote unquote suicide, because you would naturally be able to just poof, you know, compared to having to actually do something to, you know what I'm saying, transition in essence, you know, which proves, you know, a point being, like, just proves that, you know, again, you're here for a reason. You're in a bodysuit for a reason. And, you know, that's even a thing, you know, the subjective and objective truth. You know, there's an objective truth of why all of us are here in a bodysuit in this lifetime. Then there's a subjective truth, meaning, you know, there's a collective, you know, truth that covers the reason for all of us being here. Then there's a individual perspective of why, you know, you're particularly here and putting yourself in the situations, the experiences that you've been in from your individual perspective, you know. But yeah, that's basically it. We ain't gonna make it a long drawn out message. Just understanding. Again, that bounce pass, that reminder Sometimes it be the moment to again review certain things, and understanding that yes, although repetition is the best teacher, it's gonna get to a point where we're gonna grow away from having to constantly repeat certain subject matter, you know what I'm saying? And move on to another grade, in essence. So I was understanding that as well. Now it's the vibrate. Not too far in the future, not too far in the past right now. Love y'all, appreciate y'all. One.